You don't care about your birthday, and the world hates you for it. They think you're broken, cold, missing something fundamental. They gather around cakes and candles, singing songs that sound like prayers to a god they don't believe in. And when you don't join the ritual, they look at you like you've committed a crime against the very concept of being human. But here's the truth they'll never tell you, the one that keeps them awake at night when the party lights go dark and the decorations come down. You terrify them, because you've discovered something they spend their entire lives running from, that the date you were born means absolutely nothing, that the earth doesn't pause its rotation to acknowledge your existence, that the universe didn't mark your arrival with anything more than the continuation of its infinite indifference. And while they're desperately collecting birthday wishes like starving children gathering breadcrumbs, you're standing in the only truth that matters. You don't need validation from a calendar. Let's talk about what they won't say at those birthday parties. The forced smiles hiding the creeping dread that another year has passed, and they're no closer to becoming who they promised themselves they'd be. The expensive dinners that taste like obligation. The gifts chosen by people who don't actually know them, but perform the theater of caring because society demands it. The Instagram posts with manufactured joy, hashtags celebrating existence itself, as if simply surviving another lap around the sun is an achievement worth commemorating. They're not celebrating life, they're celebrating distraction. A brief moment where they get to pretend they matter more than they did yesterday, where strangers on the internet affirm their existence with heart emojis and generic wishes copy, pasted from the previous birthday boy or girl. It's a mass delusion dressed up as tradition, and you saw through it. When did it happen for you? When did you first feel that hollowness during your own birthday celebration? Maybe you were young, surrounded by people who came for the cake, not for you. Maybe you were older, sitting at a restaurant you didn't choose, with people who asked what you wanted, and then ignored your answer anyway. Or maybe it was quieter than that. Maybe you just woke up on your birthday one year and felt nothing, no excitement, no anticipation, just another day wearing a costume it didn't earn. And instead of forcing yourself to feel something, instead of performing joy you didn't possess, you accepted the truth. This day doesn't matter. And the moment you accepted that, you became dangerous, because people who don't care about their birthdays have crossed a threshold most never approach. You've stopped measuring your worth in annual increments. You've stopped outsourcing your self-esteem to Hallmark cards and restaurant waiters singing off key. You've looked at the social contract that says you must celebrate your existence on command, and you've done something most people are too terrified to do. You've said no, not in rebellion, not in anger, just in quiet recognition that the emperor has no clothes and you're done pretending otherwise. This isn't depression. This isn't nihilism. This is clarity so sharp it cuts through the comfortable lies everyone else wraps themselves in. They'll try to diagnose you. They'll say you're cynical, depressed, unable to accept love, unable to celebrate yourself. They'll psychoanalyze your childhood, looking for the trauma that made you this way, because surely something must have broken you. Surely no healthy person would reject the simple joy of birthday cake and candles. But they're asking the wrong questions. The question isn't what's wrong with you. The question is, what did you see that they refuse to? What truth did you touch that they're spending their entire lives avoiding? Here's what you saw. You saw that birthdays are the ultimate participation trophy, a celebration of something you had no control over. You didn't choose to be born. You didn't earn your birth date. You were assigned it by the mechanics of biology and the timing of your parents' decisions. Celebrating your birthday is like celebrating the fact that gravity exists. It's a given, it's not an achievement. And yet we've built this elaborate mythology around it. This idea that once a year, you deserve special treatment for the crime of having survived. That people should shower you with attention and gifts and well wishes because you managed to not die for another 12 months. It's absurd. And you're one of the few honest enough to admit it. But there's something deeper happening here. Something the birthday celebrators will never understand. When you stopped caring about your birthday, you stopped participating in the calendar worship that keeps most people enslaved. You stopped allowing arbitrary markers of time to define your progress, your worth, your story. Most people live their lives in yearly chapters. New year, new me, birthday resolutions, age milestones that trigger existential panic. They're constantly measuring themselves against the clock, terrified that time is passing and they haven't accomplished enough, haven't become enough, haven't lived enough. They're racing against a finish line that keeps moving, growing more desperate with each birthday that passes. And you opted out of the race entirely. This is where it gets uncomfortable for them. Because if you don't care about your birthday, what else don't you care about? If you've rejected this fundamental social ritual, what other sacred cows are you willing to slaughter? They need you to care about birthdays because it confirms their worldview. It validates the game they're playing. But when you refuse to play, when you stand outside the circle of celebration and feel nothing, you're holding up a mirror to the emptiness of the whole performance. You're proving that it's possible to live without these artificial milestones. And that possibility threatens everything they've built their identity around. Let's be precise about what you've actually done. You haven't just stopped caring about a single day. You've severed the connection between your self-worth and external validation. Because that's what birthdays really are. They're annual checkpoints where you get to see how much you matter to other people. How many people show up, how many people remember, how enthusiastic their wishes are, how expensive their gifts are. It's a yearly audit of your social value disguised as celebration. And the people who care most about their birthdays are the people who need that audit, who need proof that they exist in other people's minds, who need the texts and the calls and the posts to confirm that their presence in the world has registered. They're not celebrating themselves. They're celebrating being seen, being remembered, being counted as someone who matters. You don't need that anymore. Or maybe you never did. Maybe you looked at that equation and realized it was rigged from the start. That if you need a special day for people to show they care, they probably don't care the way you need them to. That real connection, real love, real respect doesn't wait for calendar permission to express itself. It shows up on a random Tuesday. It exists in the spaces between the milestones. And if someone only reaches out on your birthday because Facebook reminded them, that's not connection. That's obligation wearing a party hat. The people who love birthdays will tell you you're missing out on joy, on connection, on the simple pleasure of being celebrated. But they're lying, or they're lying to themselves. Because what they call joy is often just relief. Relief that people showed up. Relief that they weren't forgotten. Relief that they still matter enough to warrant the performance. And what they call connection is often just the hollow echo of social media engagement. Comments from people they haven't spoken to in years. Likes from strangers. A brief spike of dopamine that fades before the next birthday arrives. You're not missing out on joy. You're refusing to mistake obligation for affection. And that refusal is more honest than anything happening at their birthday parties. There's a particular kind of freedom in not caring about your birthday. A freedom that most people will never taste because they're too invested in the ritual to question it. You're free from the anxiety of planning the perfect celebration. Free from the disappointment when it inevitably falls short of expectations. Free from comparing this year's birthday to last year's, measuring your social worth in decreasing numbers of attendees and increasingly generic well wishes. Free from the performance of gratitude for gifts you didn't want and gestures you didn't ask for. Free from pretending that aging is something to celebrate when it's really just time passing, indifferent and unstoppable. You've opted out of the theater, and in doing so, you've claimed something most people surrender without ever realizing they had it. The right to determine your own value independent of the calendar. But here's where it turns. Here's where the real psychology reveals itself. The people who care most about birthdays, who make the biggest deal about them, who post the countdown and the celebrations and the reflections, they're not actually celebrating themselves. They're fighting against invisibility. They're screaming into the void, hoping someone screams back. Birthdays are just socially acceptable ways to demand attention, to force people to acknowledge your existence, to create a moment where you're the main character and everyone else is your supporting cast. It's narcissism dressed up as tradition. And when you don't participate in your own birthday celebration, when you don't demand that attention, you're exposing the hunger behind everyone else's demands. Think about how angry people get when you don't care about your birthday. Not sad, angry. They're offended by your indifference. They take it personally. They accuse you of being ungrateful, of not valuing their efforts, of being impossible to please. But what they're really saying is this: your refusal to play the game makes them look foolish for playing it so eagerly. Your contentment without the celebration suggests that maybe the celebration was never necessary, that maybe all their birthday joy is just compensating for an emptiness they're afraid to face. You're not hurting them by not caring about your birthday. You're revealing the fragility of their own need to care about theirs. This is the secret they'll never admit. That birthdays aren't about celebrating who you are. They're about compensating for who you're not. They're about creating one day where you get to feel special, because the other 364 days remind you that you're ordinary. They're about manufacturing significance in a life that feels increasingly insignificant. And the bigger the birthday celebration, the bigger the void it's trying to fill. You see this most clearly in the people who make the most elaborate productions out of their birthdays. The week-long celebrations, the destination parties, the themed events, the constant reminders in the weeks leading up to it. They're not confident, they're desperate for proof that they matter, that their existence has made a dent in the universe, that anyone, will pause their own life long enough to acknowledge theirs. You walked away from that desperation, and in a world built on needing external validation that makes you either enlightened or insane, they haven't decided which yet.